Can't turn your phone while live, it says. Well, hang on. Let me, I'm gonna be with you. I'm with you now. Just give me a second. What up, D-Money? You still rapping? What's up, Michael Gilligan? I missed you at the march, brother. I'm sorry. What's up, Lily Black? See if I can, hi, Brenda. See if I can't invite a couple people here. I was just going to have a set in. See if you guys can join me. I'd like to hear some ideas from you people. What you guys think? Me and Stephen Ball was just talking about a couple good ideas. I don't even know what to say about that, Derek. You go for it, brother. You go for it. But me and my buddy Stephen, we was talking about some ideas, and I don't know if you'd like to join the call. Let me know, and I'll try to chime you in and give your idea. I'll listen. I love to listen. There's my man Steve Ball. So he wants to join me. Okay, so we're going to try this. Okay. All right. Are you in, Stephen Ball? Yes, sir. There he is.
Hey there, bud.
Jackson. How you doing? No, we was just
talking. Not too bad. How are you doing this morning?
I'm just chilling. I was just telling everybody that we was talking about that idea we was talking about, and I thought it'd be good to just put it out there, so people could hear about it, and
absolutely.
With us,
Hold on, baby.
I think it's fabulous idea.
Well, hold on. What we were discussing was kind of going on an information campaign, where we could take one of Trump's, because we're clearly, clearly we got to get the message to the powers that be, period. And so we take one of Trump's posts, because I don't see a way, unless I'm wrong, and somebody educate me, to go and create a post on his Facebook page or whatever. But we could take one of his existing posts and just blast it, just blow it up, where it's to the point where we could get 100,000 comments on it. It becomes unignorable, and either him or his staff will have to address it. And maybe we can put a couple names in there. And my thinking is Dr. Carlos Rivera, Dr. Childess, a couple others that are a little more refined than us. They have the education, they have the experience. Like, I like Carlos Rivera, one, because he's been a pediatrician. I mean, he's going to be able to go in there and speak on levels that you and I we don't have any experience with.
Carlos is a brilliant man. I've been with him twice now, and I've been around him twice, and he's brilliant. He's got a lot to offer. A lot of it's not with Carlos. It's not sexual at all. It has nothing to do with sexes, and that's why I love Dr. Carlos so much, because he understands the full picture of it, not just the sex.
Right. You could sit Dr. Carlos Rivera down with 5 Democrats and 5 Republicans, and he's going to walk out smiling, because he's not going to get beat up by him. He's not going to get beat up by him. No. And he's going to say, look, in my experience, in my practice, I helped out 100,000 kids. This is what I did. This is how I, provide medicine for them. I saw children in divorced families. I saw this happen. I saw that happen. I saw these things with my own eyes in my own practice. And then it happened to me. And as it stands, he could literally say, I don't have a practice because of the courts. I'm no longer able to take the tools that my education gave me and provide services for these children and families. And my practice is being a pediatrician. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a displaced pediatrician. He's emotionally damaged because he doesn't have his children. He's emotionally destroyed, and that won't let him hold a practice, because if you're not right up here, you're not right with the tools to take care of families. And somebody like him needs to get in there and tell these leaders, and our elected leaders at that there's a problem. And we take somebody like him We provide him a platform to meet with the president, to meet with Mr. Pence, maybe to meet with I just lost the other guy's name. The other guy, Trey Gowdy. Thank you. Yeah.
I think that needs to happen.
Yeah,
really do.
Totally. Could a Steve Ball go in there and do it? Unfortunately, look, Steve Ball can say, I served as a juvenile detention officer for a minute. Okay. I don't have 20 years as being a pediatrician under my belt. I worked with families and children for a minute. Okay. Not going to be enough to gain their attention. Could Steve Ball say, I'm a co-host on a radio show, and we talk to a lot of hurt families. We talk to a lot of abused mothers and a lot of abused fathers. Yeah, I could do that, but I'm not going to make that impact. Not like Dr. Rivera or Childress or many others that stand before me with massive education, with massive life experience. There's another one right there, Michael Gilligan. I could see taking Gilligan and putting him in a situation with the president and being like, look, 24 years, New York Police Department, I'm not going to listen to your bullshit. This is what the problem is. Let's fix this. Let's get cracking on this. And I think
we need Gilligan's energy.
That's he's just on fire. He's just, I know you're listening, Gilligan, because I can see it right there. But you're on fire. I love it when you come to these shows. I love it when you speak the truth. I love it when you don't take no shit from anybody. Could you be professional in a situation where you're meeting with Trump or Pence or Gowdy or many others? You know what? 24 years on the New York Police Department. I'm pretty sure if you'd be all right. But look, we take one of these guys, and I mean basically we isolate him with posts, and we just hammer it for 2 weeks, 3 weeks. We come on, we bring on facts. He goes, you have not seen anything yet.
I love his energy. Look, hey, Gary Jacobs is another one. Gary Jacobs, if you haven't watched his TV shows out there, I need to get the link to that. Mike Gilligan, if you got the link to Gary Jacobs' shows, can you please put that on here? Because that dude has so much energy on them shows, you cannot not appreciate what he's doing. So I think that's very important for people to see. There's a lot of good things going on. I mean, you got Christy Beck. She's rolling. You got
Mommy Interrupted. She's back. She took a hiatus for a little while. I'm not sure why. And so on another thread I was doing one of these dual videos. I'd ceased to mention her. I said Future of Our Children Radio Network, News Without Filters, Restoring Families, Custody Wars, blah 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 blah. And this other person goes, what about Mommy Interrupted? And I'm like, I'm going to eat some crow on that one. I don't know if she's back on, but she is back. She's got her show back, right? Okay, good.
Good thing about her is, and for the women watching this and stuff, and for the men, Christy likes to stay out of the movement area, so to speak, and out of the alienation area, and she kind of likes to work on people's emotions. And that's why I like Christy so much. That's why I like watching her so much, because she'll take you to the ocean and do a show on it, and by the time you get done watching the waves rolling, you feel better. So, I mean, I think that's what we're all here to do anyways, is to try to come up with a solution to feel better. And that could be one of them. So we got so much stuff out there. I'm hearing Jay Moss and Bud Vino are having one hell of a show over there at Far From Normal.
And I'm happy that they're doing well. I really am. I know that me and Jay Moss, we kind of come to a point where he's going to do things one way and I'm going to do things another way, and that's fine. Ultimately, as long as our visions are on the same end goal, the same result, we're marching in the same army. You know what? I can go and physically stand next to somebody else. That's fine with me. And I'm happy that they're doing well. I truly, honestly am. It's not about me. It's not about you. Hold on. Somebody says reimbursement of child support is possible. Yes, there are circumstances that exist and where child support can be reimbursed. Yes.
And look, before we go on commenting on that, Stephen, I want to make one thing clear for the audience here. I'm not a father against paying child support. I believe that I should pay child support. I believe that I should support my children. Really, it's not about that to me. It's about for me, it's more the time that I get to spend with my children. You know what I mean? People say I will pay to see my children. You know, well, I was for a while, and I paid so much that it's got me in a jam to where I didn't know what I was going to do with my life. I was at the lowest of lows. So I don't know if I can.
There's some things I want to touch on the child support argument. I want to touch on a couple things, if you don't mind.
Go for it. How about it?
Okay, look, this is coming straight from me. I've been paying child support since before I graduated high school. All right, this is the truth. And many of your listeners and many of your followers know. I mean, my oldest child was born my sophomore year at Puyallup High School in 1999. Yeah, child support's interesting. They calculated out a number, money that I hadn't even been old enough to make yet, really. I mean, I did have some jobs. I worked at the Puyallup Fair. I worked as a dishwasher for a while. But I certainly wasn't even capable of making the money that the court said that I should make. I was too young. I wasn't even show me where I was even capable of making that money. No education, not even a high school graduate, still in high school. The list goes on. And then they fabricate some number that I'm magically supposed to keep for the rest of my life, or for the next 18 to 20 years. I'm a victim of a terrible stock market crash. I got laid off. There wasn't work for me in my world. I didn't get the pleasure of having, and no disrespect to you, Robert Slaven, I didn't get the pleasure of having a GM, shop that would hire me right up the road. And I know that was your circumstances, and I'm very proud of you for working that job. I had Boeing, but you're not going to get a job at Boeing without a degree. And you're sure as shit not going to get a degree when you're already in debt, 100 and some thousand with child support the day you turn 18. And that's roughly what it is. It is about 100,000 all said in total from 0 to 18 today. That's roughly 120,000 per child.
Hang on, Michael Wilmines. Will you please pin that up to the top of our comments, please, so everybody can see that when they come in the room? All right, go ahead, Stephen. Sorry.
So I learned some things about child support as time has gone on in my life. I've lived in a couple different geographic locations. And over time, I realized that if you live here, you get paid this much money. If you live there, you get paid this much money. And you might not be able to afford to live here. So child support, it's a blanket statement. It doesn't give you any reprieve for geographic location. It doesn't give you any reprieve for either a temporary or permanent layoff. Any one of us could go to where works tomorrow, and I don't give a shit what you do, who you are, where you work. Any one of us could go to work tomorrow and be out of a job. End of story, period. So you're going to go back to the court for the remedy, and you're going to say, hey, I worked for Slaven Incorporated for the last 3 years. I came to work. He lost one of his contractors. It was coming from China, whatever the story is, and I'm out of a job. Now, the court's going to take 6 to 9 months to actually get me into the court, get me into a hearing, get me into the judge, and all that time, I could be going to WorkSource, 24 hours a day. I could be living at WorkSource. I'm not making the money. I'm not paying the child support. The next employer is going to see me with a criminal record. What fault of that is mine to make sure that your clients and your contracts are good? I'm just your fucking employee. And I'm on the hook for getting laid off. So shit needs to change. So what the state needs to be
asking, really America needs to be asking, because this could happen to anybody. Yes. We're in equity court getting charged criminally.
Yes.
And people don't understand that. Just because. I mean, they want to put a criminal charge on you in equity court without a jury, without due process. They put a criminal charge on you, and it stands. And you haven't even been found guilty of it, just by accusation. That's it. You're guilty by accusation. So there just has to, the America should be throwing a fit about this because it's not right. And it's especially not right when there's children involved. And I think that more people need to focus on, because the children are involved and because the children are smart. Everybody always says children are so smart. They take everything in. Well, of course they do, people. They see all this too. So why are you guys doing it? You know? Well, it'd be my guess that they need to feed some kids medicine, so they got the doctors rolling too. And it just, for me, I kind of look at the whole picture and see what's going on with it. And it's like, man, where does this stop? See you later, Dale. What's up? There's Mr. Rivera.
Hey, Dr. Carlos Rivera, man of the hour.
Yeah, we was just talking about you, sir.
We're just talking about
you. Really start paying attention.
His ears were burning. His ears were burning.
They were on fire. You know? No, we just talking about what a good man you are. How much love I got for you. How sincere I can feel in my chest when I say that, when I stand beside you and talk to you. And when we was marching beside each other and around the campfire, around the campfire, and just so much, man, just so much.
How are you doing? Welcome to the show. This is the Robert Slaven has a real talk conversation show right here. Robert Slaven Real Talk right now. This is it.
Real talk. So, but
wait, let me go back to that.
There's so much. I appreciate you, Dr. Carlos.
Hey, Robert, I'm gonna pop out because I'm getting messages and it's stalling me. I'm gonna pop right back in. Hang on.
Just tell them to quit messaging you right now.
Every time they message me, it stalls me out. Give me 1 second.
I know I got people joining the cast, and they're like sending me messages. I'm like, just put it on the screen so we can talk about it.
I think I got it. I think I just figured out how to. We're gonna find out here in a minute. People are messaging me right now. Hey, say this, say that. You know.
Right.
Well,
we'll put it on the screen, and if we can get to it, we'll get to it. And if we can't, we will next show.
Just tap it in at the bottom, guys. You know, and I know some of you guys might be a little apprehensive about your comments and stuff, but don't be. And there's no wrong comment, really. If it's your thought,
there's not, man. If you're afraid, really kind of lay it out in somebody else's story. Create something to where you can get it explained to somebody, so you don't have to hold it in. You know. All right. So these.
So what I wanted to.
I got these. Like, I'll show you what I do, okay? There's this piece of paper I leave on the table. And when I have a musical line come through my head, I write it down. So we just wrote that down just yesterday, and it'll go on from there. But that's what I do to try to stay positive with myself and with what's going on around me.
Isn't that such a nice teacup right there? Isn't that a beaut?
It is. But I'm going to go there with you for a minute. And people protesting this NFL.
Oh God.
Okay.
All right. Let's turn the hat around. Let's get it.
There's flag code. All right. Come on, man. The hypocrisy's running wild across America right now. We can't agree to it if we're against what we're against. We can't agree to hypocrisy, man. We can't. It's just straight up.
You got me to turn my hat around backwards.
You're right on. Don't show me that coffee cup no more later. I'm teasing, Steven. But look, go ahead, man. That's what I'm saying. The hypocrisy in America is just running rampant. So, we could be hollering at everybody. You know what I mean? Nobody stands up at home when it comes on.
I do.
People's got it all over their shirts, all over their hats, all over their cups.
Now, I may not be watching the NFL for a very long time, but I do. Ladies and gentlemen, the truth is, when that national anthem comes on, I stand up. I make my 4-year-old stand up, put her little hand over her heart, there's nowhere else that I go at current time where I could teach her that. So I teach her at home. And that's the truth. And if I'm standing here by myself, when I hear that national anthem come on, I grab my remote control and I turn it up. I've been in the military, and it just goes right back to, when you're walking along and you hear them play taps, you hear it, and you stop, you salute the damn flag, you stand at attention, you stand at parade rest, you do what you're supposed to, whether you're indoors or outdoors, you put your damn cover on. And that's what I do here at my own home. That never left me. And it shouldn't leave any of you.
Hey, they're getting ready to try to protest this flag now since the media brought it up. I hope everybody notices that. Because the media brought up protest the flag. They weren't protesting the flag. They were protesting other things.
Look.
Sorry it came amongst that flag.
While I understand.
But now,
look.
Have you read the stories about how the American flag was founded and stuff now that they're putting out there? Dude, I'm telling you, if you watch and see, I said it right here. They're going to start protesting the real flag. And you'll see. I mean, the media started it. It wasn't a flag protest. Now it is. And now it's going to be brought to the Americans' attention. And I hate to say it, but that's just the truth of the matter.
Do you know the history of the national anthem?
Yeah.
The true history?
Yeah, I've read many things on it, yes.
Look, Francis Scott Key wrote it in the War of 1812 when Baltimore was being blown to hell. Okay?
When they took our gold. When they took our gold.
Well, Baltimore was being blown to hell. Okay? And they had Francis Scott Key on there, and he was a negotiator for some prisoners that were on this particular ship. The admiral, and I don't remember the name of that admiral, but the admiral said, hey, you look on the horizon over there. All them ships. Hang on, there we go. All them ships are going to be here, and they're going to blow the hell out of anything that has that flag. And next thing you know, that flag, it ain't falling, because the lives, the bodies of the men and women were being used to hold that damn flag up. They were blowing Baltimore to hell. There were men down at the bottom that Francis Scott Key could talk to because he was negotiating for their lives. And they said, tell us about the flag. Is the flag still standing? Is the flag still up? And he says, yeah, the flag's still there. The flag is still there.
Yeah, but you can go all the way back to 1777 of how we really got that flag. There's a whole storyline before that.
This flag, the current one, or the similar, okay, this is a Betsy Ross creation. All right, so look, she took what she knew and she created this flag, the stars, the stripes, okay? The national anthem itself is actually an old English drinking song, okay? He penned it because he was a poet and a lyricist in his time. There was another guy, and I forgot his name, but there was another guy who actually put the melody to it. The melody is to a drinking song. The name of that song, hold on. I might be able to do something really quick.
Holly just said True Liberty. Does that sound familiar? Okay.
Hold on.
That's actually, you know what that, what's up, Benjamin Adams? I miss you, brother. No, but look, back then, before that, though, Stephen, that red on that flag, man, that's British. That's a British symbol. If you read back in the history of it, it's a British symbol. So we were made to. I wish I was almost could fly over history to see it, to see what really, really happened. You know what I mean? Because it'd be my guess we went in there and stole that flag from them, because the stories go back that it ain't our flag, you know? And then we laid white stripes over it for the 13 colonies after the British done us in. Remember, we only had the 13 stars, right? So we had Britain had 13 colonies back then too. That's what that flag was. That's what the red is for. America's got 13 colonies. That's what the 13 white stripes are for. Now the stars are the 13 colonies from the British and the Americans. So I would really like to be able to fly over the top of that scene and see what really happened, because it's all separated, but it's all together with the 13 stars in the colony. So there's something to it. There's just something to it. I mean, then we went to the 50 states. And I believe that's when they realized they could make a lot of money on the stock market. I know it is. I know it is. Well, I believe in our flag, but I read in history of stuff. And I would never disrespect it, because it's where I was born. It's what I was brought up to. It's what I used to stand and pledge allegiance to in school every day, and before school started, and before any sporting event. But is that what they say? What's it been? They're saying, "Hey, won't you join back?" Because they're saying they can't hear you. He'll be back. I don't know. I'm enjoying the conversation. These are the conversations that me and Steven talk about a lot. Um, you know, but we're going to turn it into a show at some point, I believe.
Radio check, mic check, mic check.
Am I still echoed, Lindsay?
Mic check, mic check.
I can hear you.
All right.
Can you hear us, Lindsay?
Okay. Epic sound. I can hear you. All right.
Good. Well, these combos, it takes a lot of listening.
It's been a while. It's been a while since you and I did one of these. You know that. It's been a while.
Right. But I just think that I did a video earlier about dads being men. My madness towards men sometimes, as far as like the whole, like, if I can only see my kids 4 days a month.
That's not parenting.
No, it's not parenting. And then
I'm sick and tired of the courts doing this to mothers and fathers.
I'm gonna use me for an example. If I can see my kids 4 days a month, I can walk right out and find a girlfriend or whatever. She have 3 kids, and I move in with them every day.
I know.
That's just not that I can't get that through my head. I can't, dude. I can't. It's just like, holy shit,
Let's say, for instance, let's say that you had screwed up. Let's say that you did something absolutely repugnant with your child. How is it that I could expect you to reform yourself by taking your kids away permanently, right? I can say, hey, look, right now, you're not good to be around your kids, but maybe we should institute like a every 60-day thing, okay? You show you're improving, you show that you've turned what you're doing around, if you're on drugs or whatever.
I say we don't show them shit. They don't need it in our business.
Well, there are parents out there, and the truth of the matter is, they don't deserve their children, their own children. It is true. It's undisputable, and I think that's where the courts are at. They have the same problem. If you're sitting there shooting heroin every day, and you're beating the hell out of your wife, you're beating the hell out of your kids, you're not working, you're basically a drag on society. Blah 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 blah. The list goes on. This is not a conducive lifestyle to have your kids in. So we obviously have to have, and we have to have this system in place that protects our children. It also protects the other parent, so on and so forth. But complete and total child alienation has got to end. Looking back in my case, this judge, granted, I'm 18 years old, standing in this courtroom, have no damned idea I'm thinking, I just tell this judge what's going on. She doesn't really have the criteria for this restraining order, blah, 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 but boy, was I ever wrong. The judge, without even thinking, without even considering the possibility that the next 18 years I'd be alienated from my child, he said, well, you know what? There are some issues, and I'm satisfied, blah, 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 blah. Here's your restraining order. You don't have contact. You're now prevented from interfering with the legal or physical custody of your child. Da, 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 da. We'll revisit this in a year. 1 solid year turned into 2 solid years. 3 solid years turned into a permanent restraining order. Up to 5 years later with this permanent restraining order. 2 more years go by before we could get her to agree to bring the kid to a reunification visitation. You know what? It just went on and on and on and on and on and on. I go back to the very first judge in my case, the very first judge, and I want to sit him down and I want to say, what in the fuck were you thinking?
I know you do.
What?
And honestly, if we was living in a real world.
Good morning, Angela.
Morning, Angela. If we was living in a real world, we would be able to. Because we're just people. You know what I mean?
Well,
we're just people.
Now that I know what I know, all this time has gone by. I've done probably thousands of hours of research into my case and other people's cases. I'm a hell of an advocate. I realized that judge wasn't going to grant me shit because of Title 4D. I know that. I look back, all he saw was money. That's all he saw. He saw my name one time. He said, okay, this is a optimal Title 4D case. Wrote that down, shot it off. Pay your child support. That's what he did. Right there. They created themselves a nice little economy by creating a situation in which we would always have to seek relief from the court. And he knows that there's not going to be any remedy when nobody's forcing each party to sit down and settle their differences. There's no judge that says.
Do you think that they think we'd ever figured it out? Because I don't.
I'm sure.
I don't think they thought anybody would figure it out.
No. I'm glad you touched on that. Social media has been for us. I mean, just as good as it's been for the other party. But look, when I started to talk to people, 2000 to 2005, I'd hit restaurants. People would come up to me and talk to me and stuff, and I'd say, yeah, I'm trying to write up this motion, or I'm reading this law book. Angela May says, Susan wasn't a human being with any rights. She was a paycheck to a greedy parent not wanting to share. Bingo. But I started talking to people, and I found that there were a few groups that existed. Here in the Pacific Northwest, we have something called Northwest Justice Project, which, they don't really serve the purposes of the needy. I'm not sure if that's what their goal is or not. The purposes of the needy, yes, fill out your own paperwork, complete your own motions, but they're not providing that attorney. And that's where you go into court, the judge sees you standing on your own, and he's going to slaughter you, especially if they have a lawyer. See, the judge isn't advocating for the child. the true and proper best interest of the child is to know both parents. That's undisputable.
The judge is acting as a witness for the state.
Yes, he is.
And that's a no-no. See, that's where people need to really educate themselves, you know? And it just makes me mad, because if you go in there and say, hey, you're doing this, they're going to retaliate on you.
I really love your thinking, and more people like myself, you know, and I've known this for eons and eons, but I guess it took talking to you to light a fire under my ass. Now I have 2 constitutions on my computer. Okay, I have the United States Constitution and Bill of Rights, and I also now have Washington State's Constitution and Bill of Rights sitting right fucking next to each other. Every time I flip the shit open, bam, right there. Okay, more people need to peel back the layer and get into their state constitution and understand what's going on in their respective countries. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, I said that because Colorado is a separate country. Washington State is a separate country. California is a separate country. They all belong to a union. But once you realize that, and you actually start looking at what's in your state and what your state says,
about time.
Right. It's going to mean a whole nother ball of jack in the courtroom. And it's true. It does. And then we have the whole argument with codes and statutes and ordinances. And
well, you wouldn't believe it. Well, now that I'm starting to read statutes, you wouldn't believe that there's some statutes that are there to protect you. There absolutely is, and you just got to find them. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it's
not enough people know about, say, in Washington State, we have RCW 2616-125, and that 2616-125, that's the equal parenting statute. That's what says that both parents have an equal and well, it's not unalienable, but it can't be really divided, okay, without just cause. But then when you look at what's going on in the civil court, and you say, is this just cause? Just because Robert Slaven says that he's afraid of me, and Robert Slaven says that I did something to him, and he says it in a court that doesn't require evidence, doesn't mean I actually did a fucking thing. Now, if Robert Slaven says he did this to me, and he takes me to a criminal court where I can have a jury of my peers decide my guilt or innocence, then maybe we can talk about stripping my property, my children, my fundamental liberties from me. We could talk about that on that day.
Look, you spend 15 years with a kid. You spend 15 years with a kid, with your wife, with your kids, being a family. All of a sudden, one of you cheats. Okay, because that's probably 8 times out of 10 why somebody gets a divorce anyways.
At least 7 out of 10. Look, infidelity it's crazy. And I think that should be on the table as well. Infidelity should be on the table because it's very prevalent in this generation. Should we redefine what the statute of marriage? I actually think so. Believe it or not, I think so. I think that they should, and I know I'm a Christian. Look, I get it. But I live in this generation, and this generation does view marriage differently. And let's just get it on the table. It's happening. More and more and more people are engaged in open relationships. So when we get married, what we've done is we've given our union to the state in a way. We've agreed to our union under the state's rules. I don't necessarily agree with that. So I think we should redefine what we consider marriage. But we'll get into that. Here we go. Our generation should stop being a hose and redefine the fiduciary contract of marriage. That is exactly what I just said in just a little bit better way. But yeah, we should redefine. It should be. And you know what? Do I say you can't be married if you're gay or lesbian or whatever? I used to think that way, but a little bit of time and thought and maturity on it, let them be fucking married. Let them be happy. If what they do in the bedroom is, involving me somehow, which I doubt.
When I went to go get married, this is honest goodness what I told this preacher. me and my girlfriend at the time, we had lived together for 10 years. Right? We were boyfriend, girlfriend, 10 years, lived together. And we went to a preacher, and I asked him, hey, man, I'd like you to marry us here. And he said, well, you have to go back and live apart for a year and not have any, anything to do with each other basically for a year, and I would marry you. And I told that preacher at that point, I was like, well, I think in God's eyes, we're already married, Anyway, so it's like, I think once you put a commitment with somebody, and that other person's committed to you, I think that's just as equal. You know what I mean? Because marriages ain't lasting nowadays. Marriages is like boyfriend and girlfriend high school shit. People get married.
No, that's exactly it. That's my point. That's my point. Yeah. Yeah. The whole thing has changed.
So it's like, soon as they, I mean, it's ridiculous what's going on, and it's ridiculous too. Back in the olden days, what people don't understand, and this is why I want people to start going to their local churches, especially if you go to church, and ask they'll have mentors there that go to your children's school for trouble for the kids. If the kids are having trouble in school, they'll go and mentor the kids. And my daughter's had one since she's been second grade. Her name's Kathy, and she's really nice. So, but the churches, they have mentors that go in, so things too, And I lost Stephen again. But we do. We need to start finding out the perspective of the church and see what their calculations is, see how the kids are really doing, and they should tell you the truth. And I think that's how we should reach out to the church, because marriage, if you got divorced back in the older days, what I was getting to, you was condemned. You was condemned by the whole church, the whole community. You was out. I mean, you was just not a good person. So, I don't know, but anyways, you just wasn't a good person to the church or the community, so they outed you, and they just, I think that people need to take a look at that now too, because the church is like, they don't care anymore about that, and that's where my mind has changed with the church, because I think they should care more about the kids. I think they should be getting way more involved with what's going on, unless they're involved. So that's just what I think. My 2 cents on it. Well, Tony Knightley wants to join me, so I'm going to bring Tony in for a minute, and then I'll probably get off here for a while, because I've been running it for a while.
How's it going, bro?
What's up, T-Money? What's up?
Oh, just coming off the job here, doing a little bit of excavation today, and I was hearing you going over the church thing with the people, and I got a few things to say in that regard. First of all, I am a Christian. I believe in God, and I believe in Jesus Christ as my Savior. I believe that we're also all flawed, and every one of us has the ability or the right to also accept Jesus and give ourselves to Christ and try to become a better person. I know that Christians have gotten a little bit of a bad name in many other realms, but I think you look at stuff, there's a mixture of good people and bad people anywhere you go, any organization that there may be, regardless of the religion, race, or what have you. Now, I have questioned this about the marriage issue, because my wife and I we were together for 9 years before, maybe 8 years before we got married. And in the church's eyes, it wasn't, we weren't sanctified enough. So went through a big ordeal where kind of had to prove myself as far as having the ability to grab the microphone and be able to, do ministry work. in the hoods, in the government housing projects, and places that we actually decide that I don't want to be confined by walls of a church. So what I do is I go try to be the church. Now, I definitely have room for improvement, and but the thing is, I have studied I have studied what some of the secret societies have done with religion, and I'm very upset about that because they run the court systems in regards to way they feel like God is viewing things. I agree with you. I think that in God's eyes we're married. Why do we need a contract with the state to prove that, right?
Right.
I mean, why in the world pay them a fee and go through all that?
Right. Well, I've always asked, and I'll ask you, Tony, because you know we've talked about religion, you know, when we're together and stuff. I always felt that the church is kind of thinking they're punishing us for God. I think that I believe that sometimes, and I just like to hear your take on that.
And I don't think, I don't think all the churches are the same on that. I believe you're going to find more of a more acceptable approach through the non-denominational church. But they, there again, not all churches operate the same. And having, I helped start 2 Christian record label companies here in our area. And so that meant we had to associate with all that. So we would, I've shook hands with a lot of different churches. And I think their intentions are good, but there is one thing where they have, I believe, brought in a certain ideology that doesn't say it word for word that we must be bound by a contract by the state. But at the same time, that doesn't mean we should give up our reasoning to believe. And another thing too, and I'm going to explain something that maybe not a lot of people know this, but family courts will treat you worse if you go in a situation where you were not married. So if you have a kid and that was born out of wedlock, they will treat you differently. And there's a number of different things that they look at. And I found it in Kentucky. Kentucky was my state. I wanted to crumble them for what they did to our family. But I found that there was a particular governor that was hiring friends from his church and placing them into government protected jobs. And based off of that, I dug deep, and I found a rule book that they went by. And that was how they were to operate the courts. And so they had gone into basically forming their own Bible within the secret society. And so they would treat families differently if they had children that were not born out of wedlock and were born in wedlock. There was a lot of different aspects behind that, and I thought that was strange, but I don't agree with it. So the church needs to pretty much stay out of the state in that particular instance. But that doesn't affect my belief and my faith, because I know there's a mixture of bad people and good people anywhere we go.
Right. All right, T-Money, I'm going to bring somebody else in too, okay? I miss you, brother. Thanks for stopping in.
All right.
Thanks for stopping in.
Thanks for the live feed.
We'll do it again. Believe that.
All right, bro. Talk to you later.
Later. Who's on here? Oh, it's you.
I don't know how to... Oh.
Hang on, we're getting them back in there. Common law, yes, absolutely. This should be constitutional law here,
Oh, you already had me on here, but okay.
I didn't know.
Oh, that's all right.
Hit the add button down here, and it does.
Oh, I see.
You know what I mean? I didn't know.
Yeah, no. I just had to go get my charger.
Bird at the battery. Well, hey, it's a good conversation. Dias, I probably ain't going to bring nobody in, but I brought Steven back in. We don't have no music on this show, and we're going to call it Slaven's Real Talk. Steven nailed it. So, You know, we don't have real talk.
Real talk with Robert Slaven.
Yeah, we don't have real talk on here. So, and I kind of dig it, and I hope everybody else enjoyed it too today. And we'll be back in a day or so, and I'll watch the news and get all fired up about things, and we'll come on here and discuss some of the subjects, and then see where it all kind of leads to us, you know, and how things are going. I think families and families where it starts. So, and I think it all goes back to family, the roots of your family, and what's going on. Thighs. Yep, a flag mug. I've already told him about it.
If you guys can see that on the inside there. This is proud to be an American.
Hey, don't say made in China. I figured it'd say made in China.
No, actually, I think this one here.
Made in Korea?
It ain't made.
It's made somewhere above there, dude. You know what I mean?
It was made at Big Lots.
We have regulations in America. We can't make American flags on stuff because it goes against flag code.
Yeah, I'm well aware of the flag code.
They ship it in. T-shirts and all.
I'm well aware. You know what?
I'm just saying.
I still have
a true
my
union worker for you right there, brother. That's all I can say. Mm-hmm. I can't help what these Democrats has done, but these Republicans are.
Hey, let me go back and touch on this really fast. I was look on this issue. The black community has a bit of a gripe. They do. My issue is, look, you're protesting the national anthem. And my thing on that is, I'm trying to be a little bit careful here, but my thing on that is this. Protest the police, protest their policy, protest their procedure, all you want. But honor the damn flag while you're doing it. Because that flag gives you the right to go protest. I mean, you have the right to protest the flag under the rights that the flag gives you.
Look, to me, I respect that flag. I will never disrespect our flag. But I will say this. The way that we're being treated as parents, the way women are being treated because of misogyny, the way that men are being treated because of feminism. What are we saluting here? That's always my question. That's always my question in my mind.
Okay. All right. Man, this is controversial. So let's go ahead and just dive right in, okay? Let's get dirty. Let's get muddy.
Robert's going to always ask the hard questions. You know this because I want to know. I want other people.
Our flag is not gone. Our flag stands. Our flag waves proudly. So no, Ty, our flag is not gone. It is proud. It's in pretty good shape for the shape that it's in. Now,
I mean, think about this, Steve. We got courts in America running wild. We're sitting here trying to keep the flag alive, and we got courts in America that's running wild on unconstitutional and unlawful courts. And not
I know it's a shit storm. It's a shit sandwich. I get it. But look. I want to go back to this. We should give ear to our black community members, and obviously they're coming together as a united community. Whether it be Black Lives Matter, whether I agree with them or not, it doesn't matter. They're coming together because they feel that there's an issue. I feel differently, but we should give them ear. And I saw evidence of that at Constitutional Day in D.C. Now, I wasn't there, but I saw the videos. I saw the live feeds. I saw somebody share their platform with BLM and say, "Oh, you guys want to come on here and say something? We're going to share our platform with you, brothers, come on up here. And so their guy, if you will, their version of Cash Jackson, come out there and said, we're tired of this and we're tired of that and we're tired of something else. And this is what's happening to the black community. And you know what? To some degree, okay, we get it.
I would like to see some of the bigger people with the millions being in like Oakland or Los Angeles or especially Chicago. Chicago's a war zone right now in their inner city. Hey, it's a war zone. And it don't matter. People killing people. It don't matter what color they are. Just people killing people, man. So I don't even care about that stuff. I'm just saying.
Part of that stems from skewed ideology, socioeconomic demographics, religion. I mean, there are a number of factors that roll into that, and you know what? There are a lot of African Americans that can look at the situation amicably and say, it's not necessarily the white man that's holding you down, okay? It's your education, your desire to receive education, because I don't know of any school in America that says black people can't come here. Sorry. So that's you can't use that excuse. If a black man can rise to be the president of the United States of America and actually in some degree or another gain my respect, and I shared something with you this morning. I don't care to get into it now, but I shared something with you about Obama that makes me say that. If I had to stare my own conscious self in the face, I'd have to say, versus all presidents of the United States of America, Obama, he was another president. That's all he was. His policies, his procedures, his ideology. Trump's doing the same thing. Another president. We're going to have another guy behind Trump, whether it be Pence or somebody else. Who fucking knows? It could have been Hillary Clinton. And I'm sure if it was Hillary Clinton, the issues that we're dealing with would be completely different. Okay, we'd be all up in arms over something else. Right. You can go all the way back. Abraham Lincoln, he had a bloody civil war on his on his back. Okay, right. I mean, imagine that. Imagine having to send American soldiers to fight American soldiers. Imagine the conscious, you're conscious in what your heart's telling you. If you had to be the president during a great American Civil War,
I don't want to. I would like to fly over it. I'd like to fly over it.
You're facing the equivalent of George Washington's own grandson, in theory. And let me explain that for those that don't know. Just give me the platform for a minute on that, on some history here. George Washington, slave owner, the Custis family, his granddaughter, they adopted this kid, Custis. Custis had a daughter. General Robert E. Lee married that girl. In theory, General Robert E. Lee is George Washington's grandson.
Right.
Some of the slaves that General Robert E. Lee acquired were hereditary slaves from Washington. That's all fact. Abraham Lincoln has to send an army against the grandson of Washington.
Right.
In theory, you can't tell me that was that didn't weigh heavy on his heart. Ultimately, the blacks were freed, but they weren't free. We got to call a spade on this, because segregation continued up until the 60s, where in Alabama, and I don't remember the school, you had soldiers protecting 9 black children, 9 black students. You had U.S. soldiers escorting them to class. In the 60s, in the 50s and 60s, this was happening.
I know. It was happening.
For a country that says all men are created equal, that was not equality, and I'm glad that changed. Now, we talk about women. Centuries upon centuries upon centuries, women were disparaged. They were second-class citizens. But there was also this thing called chivalry. Men were told to take off their tunics and put them on the ground in front of women, open doors, don't hit your mother, don't disrespect, don't respect your elders. You say you spit in front of a woman, I'll pop you in the face. Ladies, I'm telling you the truth. My dad was of that era, but my dad's generation lost something after World War II. The World War IIers got something right. The next generation down, they missed the boat. And then they raised my generation, a little bit of Robert Slaven's generation, and it was drugs, it was alcohol, it was all these other influences, heroin, poppies, you name it. It got involved in our family structure, the nuclear family structure, and it had destructive forces I don't even think that the drug dealers could foresee. Okay, everybody wanted to be introverts and be into themselves, and all that served to do was destroy the community as a whole. Now, women fought hard. Women fought hard to say, I want equal pay in the workplace. They'd already been in the workplace since World War II. Like straight up in the workplace. They weren't teachers and nurses anymore. They were factory workers. They were welders. They were rivet builders. I mean, you name it. They were building planes and tanks and ships and boats and everything.
My grandma was a nurse, you know what I mean? So I remember going picking her up when I was a kid, so I don't, my grandmother worked all through the 60s, so.
How old's your grandma today?
She'd be 86.
86 years old. So that means that she, at 86 today, she was right around 16, 17 in World War II?
Probably.
1941 to 1947, if you really get serious?
Probably.
So she could sit back and tell you some stories about working and not being paid correctly, terrible work environments, this, that, and the other. And I put some of that on the Republicans. The Republicans are typically business owners, and their bottom line is their bottom line. They're out for profit. And they didn't share that wealth with the citizenry. They didn't. That's why we have unions, Jimmy Hoffa, the list goes on. Where women have gained. Hey, we're not going to talk about Louis, okay?
I had to say it, man.
Tell you what, if you don't make the pizza, I'll beat your ass. That's what I'm telling you right now. Make the pizza. All right, but women have done such a good job, and men have helped them get there at establishing their rights, establishing their right to own property, their right to buy and sell, their right to marry who they will, their right to choose a degree or a career. And I support all those things. And I really do. I wouldn't want anybody to tell one of my daughters that they couldn't be a policewoman because she's a woman. I wouldn't want anybody to tell my daughters that they can't vote because they're girls, because their say doesn't matter somehow. That's total bullshit. But the pendulum now has gone so far that our nation's young men is being secondary to women. Our nation's young men are no longer graduating from the colleges that they once were. Our nation's young men are no longer even graduating from high school in the numbers that they once were. They're failing in math, science, and technology. Our nation's young men are not getting the Boy Scout type mentality that we had in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, even the 30s. Okay, the B of A, I think it started in the 1800s. I think so. So we're not getting older men teaching younger boys how to grow up and be our leaders, how to grow up and be our strength for our family. And so you're getting little pockets of men that are doing it here and here and here. And it's failing the entire system as a whole. And you got young women that are saying, why do I need to work my issues out with this guy? I can divorce him, get food stamps for 2 years, this, that, and the other, and I can move on with a new bloke.
But you got men that do that too. You know what I mean? You do.
I know. It's true. It's again, it goes right back to these young men have not been taught how to be fathers and dads. They're using drugs. They're trying to take the fast way, robbing banks, you name it. And that's every demographic. That's not white. That's not black. That's not Oriental. That's every demographic is trying to take the cheap, fast route. And your grandpa will tell you, there ain't no cheap, fast route. It's hard work. It's hard work. And it's hard work. And anybody that lives with a woman knows it's hard work. But that's where being a man and being a leader and being in touch with your emotions, that's where those things come in. Because when your woman's acting all crazy and doing all kinds of weird shit, it's up to you to sit there and sort it out.
We're crazy as they are.
Dude.
I mean,
I know a guy right now. He calls me up and he's like, Steve, I'm going to get a divorce. And I says, why are you getting a fucking divorce? You guys have been married 12 years.
You don't want to get a divorce.
He says he went and bought a Humvee or a Jeep or a Humvee. He wants to bring it over here and show me. I said, no. I don't want to be part of that. I don't want to be part of that. Because you guys are already on your second mortgage and you're going out and financing. He goes, well, we're probably going to end up filing for bankruptcy. There is no reason under God for you to have to file bankruptcy. Go take that goddamn car back. Okay, that's okay. So obviously something in the communication level between her wants, needs, and desires didn't make it to his brain, for wants, needs, and desires.
Right.
Women need to understand something about men anyway. When you look at a man, men have everything compiled in our brains in little boxes. And those boxes don't touch. Okay.
He's only talking about himself.
And when you say we need to talk, men grab the one box and nothing else. Just one box. And we bring that box out and we open it up and we say, okay. There was a book written in the 90s, Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. Read that book. Read that damn book. And then I want you to back it up with Dave Ramsey. I want you to take Financial Peace University and start fixing your lives. She said, y'all fuckers have your shit twisted. I'm all in. Y'all fuckers have your shit twisted.
Well, listen.
But look, women are not disparaged anymore. I mean, there might be here and there, and you still hear about it, inequality in pay. Sure, that may exist with some older employers and things like that. I'm willing to say that all day. But they hold office, they vote, they own businesses, they own property, they buy and sell, they're on the stock market, they employ men. The list goes on. So when you tell me that women are disparaged in 2017 in the United States of America,
tell him, Angela.
I have a little bit of a. Hold on, I want to see what Angela May's commenting.
Yeah, you knew sis was gonna chime in, dude. She's looking like this right now. Well, I can't do it right now. Hang on, yeah, I can. She's looking like this right now. Hang on.
Angela.
Can't do it, man. No, I was gonna try though, but that's the truth, though. I mean, I
when I walked into Pierce County Superior Court in July of 2000. July of 2000, I walked into Pierce County Superior Court, and I was taught a lesson, big time, as to where I stood as a parent, a father, a young student, and quite honestly, an employee of this nation. Granted, I wasn't working for the government in any sense, but I was a young worker, paying my taxes, and I got told right where the fuck my family stood. As a man.
Yeah, they tend to leave you feeling like you're less of a human being when you walk out of there than you was before you walked in there. That's for sure.
You want to talk about oppression?
But see, people don't need to feel that way. I was talking to Diane Lyons at the Million Parent March, and I love Diane. I love her Boston accent.
She's good.
Yeah, her Boston accent is awesome.
She follows a lot of what I do, and whether I like it or not, she comments, and And sometimes it's thought provoking, and sometimes it's like, damn.
We was walking into the store and we was going grocery shopping, and I was talking to her about, people think we're crazy, and then people think, heck, we could just cry at the drop of a hat because of an emotion that really gets to you. Or and I told her, look, there can't be no more crying. There can't be. There can't be no more anger neither. Got to be straight determination on what we need to get done. And going back to the original thing that we was talking about, as far as Trump's post, I've been trying to talk people into getting on his live feeds and just blasting it. I know we got 100,000 people out there because I see Cash Jackson's YouTube videos. They got 100,000 views. So unless people's watching them 20 times a day, you know what I mean? I mean, we got 100,000 people out there that need to chime in on this shit.
I have a couple videos that have insane hits like that too. And then I wonder, I'm like, if I'm getting 100,000 views on Custody Wars Baby's First Minutes, why am I not getting 100,000 people at the Million Parent March? Why am I only getting 5,000 people? You know, but I do see, and I got to be honest, look, when we're talking about the family law reform movement, we're talking about victims of the family law courts. They're broke, they're beaten, they're depressed, they're destroyed. Their emotions are running them and guiding them. They haven't seen their kids in eons. It's terrible. It's absolutely just disgusting. And you know what? There's no remedy for that in the court.
I can't hear you. You're lagging. Angela, you're absolutely right. You are. Yeah, I love that. I think, but I think women want to work for their own thing anymore too. A lot of women. I don't think that they want to depend on a man. And I think that's coming from the last generation of people before mine. Their children, I think that kids are smart, and they will change it. It's kind of odd because we can't see what we're doing until 20 years later, whether it be good or bad. Me and Kenter touched on this the other day. What are we creating? Are we going to have peace when this comes at two, or is people going to go into anarchy, or you just don't know how people is going to react to certain things. That's why I say really stay calm. If we could do this peacefully, it would be the best movement in history, I would think, because the other movements wasn't done. They were done respectfully, but those were movements that people's trying to fight for a color of their skin. That's just ridiculous. So, to me, I mean, we're all just people. We bleed the same, and then no, I don't, because I live in Indiana, and there's still towns that they say there's neighborhoods and stuff that whites ain't allowed, and there's neighborhoods and stuff that blacks ain't allowed. So it still goes on here every day. That's why I was kind of disgusted that Pence got elected because of the way Indiana still is. I mean, we're not even modernized with any Western, cities, really. I mean, they're trying, but with it, it ain't happening. I mean, it's our roads are the worst that I've ever drove on in my life. And, the things that Pence does with like the unions and stuff like around here, because people don't understand, you got the eastern part of the country that's manufacturers. And if that shuts down the western part of the country because they like to ship shit out, right? and people love to go to Vegas to gamble that Saturday and Sunday overtime money away. And in the South, people like to go on vacation, so it's set up for just that. Living across the country, I tend to figure out what was going on with the country as far as how it was working. So. But yeah, the eastern part, if it shuts down, people don't realize what that will cause. I mean, they really don't. Honestly, I've never been to Detroit. I've heard my buddy goes up there every week, pick up cars normally, and he says it's all right, but he looks at everything good. What I hear from people from Michigan, Detroit's a bust. I mean, it's in bad shape. Hell, I don't even know when they're gonna get their water fixed. You know what I'm saying? It's just like them people don't even got water to take baths in. I don't think at this point. So it's all polluted. I don't know if they've got it straightened up yet or not. I need to look into it before I touch bases on it. But I don't even think they've got places to take showers in their own homes because of the water poisoning. So, and people. All right. 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 Stay out of there. Well, they got rid of the mob. What do you expect, dude? I mean, they got rid of the mob in Chicago. They told them to go, put them in jail. I bet crime rate tripled after that. People were scared to death of them. I'm just kidding, Steven. You know what I mean? They need to get rid of something. Oh, right, right, right. Well, I think on that one, man, I think there's like 17 of them in there. Well, it's like when we was reading it that night, when we was really going through it and analyzing it, and people don't understand, and you try to explain to them, listen, people, if these people want to come in and take a light bulb out of your lamp and walk out and use it at their house for a minute and then bring it back to you when they get some new ones, they can do it. Believe that. They can come in and get toilet paper. They can do whatever they want. Get in your fridge, make them a sandwich, and walk out. Believe that. They can. And that's real. That's all I can say about it. Because I got to be funny about it, and I can't be serious about it because it's so serious. It's so serious. Well, it's 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 we're going to have to. This is a bigger war than what we're just fighting, but it all originates from the family. And elder abuse, I worry about my grandfather a lot. He's got some pretty nice nurses over there, though. But and I know a couple. I know about two or three home health care nurses, and they're really good people. So I don't want to give them all a bad rap, but it does happen. It does happen. I think we need to do a study on it to see if it happens more on home health cares or because I believe that's where it will take place is in the home health care system. Right. It's sad because what you're talking about is actually destroying families just as bad. So it seems like everything that makes a lot of money is focused on the family unit. Um, and yeah, we do need to start talking about that. It needs to be discussed. But that's right. Well, you're talking about. You're talking about a person you've helped a loved one raise, and then everything was just fine until you get into court, and this judge knows you for approximately 45 minutes of your life because you only stand in front of him, and he don't really talk to you. He just hears what these people make up, and he don't know who you are, and he's making the decision of a lifetime for your children. So but we're going to have to end this, and we'll talk about the whole subject for the month. You know what I mean? So, but no, if you guys haven't watched it, go back and watch it. We talk about some good topics. We talk about things that trying to find solutions for everything. You know, it's a never-ending battle. I'll end it with this. This is Slaven's Real Talk, and the real talk for today is children have rights, and they should have rights. They have the right to see both parents, both grandparents, all the cousins, all the uncles and aunts and great parents and great everything. They deserve that. So that's what they have the right for, in my heart. That's what they have the right to do. So let's all focus on whipping that so they can have them rights. And thanks for joining in, Robert and Stephen, today. And we had a little bit of Tony Kitely and on religion. And we'll be doing these shows more often. Believe that. So have a good day, people.